to Eminem in the eyes of the people because he knew that if a beef were to begin between them, Drake was in no position to beat him out. Eminem's accomplishments and fan base streets with the heavy
all of you do. So it's accounting. All right, I just sent the request through. Did you get the request? I should have. Huh? Boom. And up. Let's see. Go, 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 go. It says that it's adding you. I don't know if it's working on your side. I decline it. Let's see. Bomb. That should work. Should work that time. Yeah.
Hey.
What's up? Excellent. We got it going. Cool. Right. Oh man, how you doing?
I'm well. How are you?
I'm doing very well. Thank you for asking. Let me make sure this is focused on me. Excellent. All right. Excellent. So we'll get right into it. Thank you everybody for your patience getting that set up there. And here we are with our third installment in my series called The One and Only. And we are here with the one and only Vicki Quintero today. This is a very, very special edition because this is actually the first time that I'm going to be interviewing somebody who I actually know in real life. So yeah, all the people who I've met before have actually only been online. So this is the first person from, a similar background. Shh, don't tell any secrets. No, just kidding. But excellent. So of course we were located here in Tampa, Florida. Where are you located now?
I'm in Fort Lauderdale now.
Fort Lauderdale. What a beautiful city. I really, really loved it. Last November we spent like 4 or 5 days there right at the courtyard, right on Fort Lauderdale Beach, man. Excellent area. The nightlife there, you can just walk anywhere. Like that's the city that I really want to go back to as soon as possible. And
yeah, it's cool living in like a more urban environment because it's like I can actually walk places and like go somewhere and get what I need. It's pretty cool.
Exactly. Yeah, Tampa, people see the city side of it, but it's really a lot more rural than what people really expect.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. And were you born in Tampa?
Yeah, born at Tampa General. No, St. Joseph's. Just kidding. Born at St. Joseph's, and brought home to the same house. My parents still live in that same house. It's crazy.
Wow, that's awesome. So the roots run deep here, and all your family's in the area too?
Yeah, they from Cuba to New Jersey, and then one of them moved from New Jersey to Florida, and then all of them moved to Florida. So everyone's there.
Absolutely. And what is your ethnic background, if you don't mind me asking?
Both my parents are Cuban immigrants. Yeah.
Excellent. So, but you're first generation United citizen? Okay.
Yep.
And are you bilingual?
No, not fluently, unfortunately.
Hey, it's okay.
They assimilated,
yeah.
Which is crazy. I'm reading Ibram X. Kenny's book, How to Be Anti-Racist. And like the first and second chapters are all about assimilation. And I'm like, oh my God, like this is so relevant, like to me,
Yeah, no, that's, and it's crazy because specifically with the Cubans here in Florida, back in the Jim Crow era, you guys were unfortunately used as a driving wedge as the Black communities got their freedom and were trying to, reach economic parity. That's what had the influx of the immigrants come in, specifically down here in Florida, to, kind of offset that and make sure that the benefits, were spread out amongst multiple demographics to make sure that nobody ever actually reached the level that Anglo-Saxons did as far as the economic power control. So, but the Cubans did a very good job of defending their territory here in Florida, especially in Southern Florida. And that's why they still have a very big hold on the business and economics in those cities and the politics as well. So That's
Yeah.
is something that I think our cultures can learn from, you know, that solidarity coming together. But
Yeah.
as you're saying, the assimilation does become problematic.
Yeah.
You know, exactly. But all right. So, and in Tampa, do you know where when you were going to school and everything like that, what were you like majoring in high school?
I mean, I definitely, my whole focus was music. I wanted to go to college for music. I was a trombonist. And that's what I did. I did end up going to Stetson University and majoring in music and playing trombone too many hours a day.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And do you still play the trombone?
Yeah, yeah. I taught lessons over Zoom this summer, which was cute and confusing because, trying to figure out how to do that virtually, but we figured it out. And I still play sometimes, like people will ask, hey, I need horns on something. And my boyfriend does sound engineering. So
Oh,
we'll lay down some tracks and send him over. And it's cool. It's been fun.
excellent, excellent. If I ever need any horns for my music, I know who to go to.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I actually, I used to play the trumpet myself, but I stopped back in elementary school. So,
Oh
but I did perform in a parade. I performed in Surrattsville Parade in Clinton, Maryland. So that's
no, that's so cute.
that was pretty cool. And then yeah, I knew that music was big, so that's kind of what I was going to be leading up to, is what brought you to that. And so when you went to Stetson and everything, you had your heart set on doing music solidly as a career. What
Yeah.
is that something that you're still planning on doing, or?
No. Yeah, it was definitely my focus and I think for me I chose it because it was like, oh, I'm naturally good at this and then when I do put in the work, I'm even better. And I think for many of us it's when we're good at something, it's encouraging and allows us to keep doing it sometimes. I mean, I know for me it's harder to like pick something new up, right? Like if I'm not good at it, I get discouraged easily. That's
Absolutely.
just me. But so I wanted to do music, and then I found communications. And one in my head, it was an easier major, and it's not easier. It was just less hours and less having to be, in a rehearsal hall all day, things like that. But a lot of like social theories and talking about gender and race and everything. And I was like, yeah, I want that. Um, and then part of it was like, I need more time to get high because I was definitely struggling with a lot of substance abuse issues back then.
Right.
Um, and that allotted me that time, but
Understandable. Understandable. That's something that comes with that, creatives, man. It's the curse of the creatives, just
I know.
trying to find and things like that. So no, I totally understand, and commend you for being strong enough to bring that kind of thing up. Obviously I have a little bit knowledge about that, but that's something that I would, whatever you're comfortable with. But I commend you on your strength in being able to overcome those things and be able to
Thank
talk about them and come out looking and doing as well as you are. That's something that is, people need to see that. So
Yeah.
no,
I'm always open about my story if it can help anybody, but just, I will have 5 years on November 4th. Like that's like not touching anything, and that's crazy, but it's
yeah,
definitely afforded me a lot of like the success and like what you're talking about, like coming out of it. I chose to be completely abstinent, and I think that really, really aided to me picking up the pieces quickly.
excellent. No, man, and I commend you. And you're a light and a beacon. And not only in that aspect, but also in the main story of what we're here today to discuss, which is
Hmm.
bariatric surgery awareness. I'm sure, just like myself, so a lot of times when I'm talking to people about their field of expertise, I kind of like to come in as ignorant as possible, like respectfully ignorant, so that I can
Right,
ask,
right.
so I can ask lame questions. Um,
Yeah.
so for starters, what is bariatric surgery?
So, yeah, there's a few forms of it, but basically the idea is either like I got the sleeve, which is a vertical sleeve gastrectomy where they cut out 80 to 85% of your stomach. There's also the traditional one, which most people know, which is gastric bypass, where they make the stomach very, very small and then bypass part of the like small intestine. And then there's also lap band, which puts the stomach into two pouches. But the idea is that intaking less food than you normally would.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. And I've heard of gastric bypass before. And when I saw you speaking about your process that you had gone through, it was similar to me, but I didn't know that actually. So gastric bypass is a form of bariatric surgery.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Excellent. Excellent. And I guess, if you don't mind me asking, like, what would lead somebody to, I guess, go to that route as an option? Like, what would be a symptom or something where somebody would say this is the path for you?
Yeah. So everyone's journey is a little bit different. Obviously, we're human. But there's a lot of for my surgery and some like orientation and classes, and got to meet other people who were looking into getting surgery or who had already had it. But there's plenty of reasons. The ones that make me really sad are when people are saying like, I'm really ugly because I'm fat. Sad, but that is a genuine reason that people feel go the surgery route. For health reasons, though, there's a lot of different reasons. You have people who are, diabetic, pre-diabetic, dealing with PCOS. There's so many different health issues that if these people were to lose weight medically, different health issues that if these people were to lose weight medically.
Okay, cool. Cool. Yeah, absolutely. Can
Right now.
you see me now?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Yeah, and we caught most of that. Uh
Okay.
yeah, for anything, I think I might have saw less than what people actually saw. So forgive me if I asked something that you were just addressing or anything like that.
Yeah.
But so I know that you were saying, the feeling of the less attractiveness is
Yeah.
something that they'll actually like. So are there any like regulations onto what is going to give somebody qualifications to actually go and get this?
Yeah. So being able to receive bariatric surgery through insurance is a very, very rigorous process. Um, they require usually at least a BMI of 40. The insurance companies, they also require that, or like if you don't have that BMI, maybe if you have some of those other health conditions like diabetes or GERD, like acid reflux, things like that, that's like been chronic and been documented. They make people do like a 6 month like waiting period where they have to lose weight. If they gain weight, the insurance company will say, nope, sorry, you didn't try hard enough. I
Oh,
mean, yeah. So my sister went that route. I unfortunately, or fortunately, who knows, my insurance didn't cover the surgery.
wow.
Um, so I chose to go the self-pay route and figured out a way to make it financially work. And was lucky enough, like my parents offered to pay for like the hospital fees and I paid the surgeon fees. And like, I was very, very lucky and fortunate, but I didn't have to go through all that rigmarole.
Yeah.
Um, they were just like, hey, like, if this is what you do, you qualify. Because at the time I had a BMI of 58.3,
Mm,
which BMI like kind of is just a bunch of bullshit.
right.
But at the end of the day, though, there was a lot of weight on my frame. I'm only 5'4" and was weighing at my heaviest 343 pounds. So there was a lot of weight that I had been carrying my whole life.
Absolutely. So yeah, because I know that, this isn't just a surgery that's about aesthetic. It's not,
No.
by no means plastic surgery, which is why I asked. It's like, so if a person just is like, I'm fat, I want this, they can't just walk into, can they just walk in if they have the money and just pay for this?
Sometimes, depending on the doctor, um, you know, it's an industry, it's their job, that makes sense, right? But safely, no. Like they will make some exceptions in terms of BMI and pre-existing conditions, blah blah blah.
Hmm.
They take everything into account. A surgeon hopefully is never going to you know, go out and do something that would harm someone.
Right.
But for the most part, no, you can't just walk in and say like, I just want to be skinny. Like it doesn't work like that, you
Right.
know? But
Okay.
I didn't know that either. I
Mm.
had no idea because I had a friend who had gotten the surgery in 2018 and like I hadn't seen her for a few months and then all of a sudden she's really thin and I was so confused because like in my head time hadn't lapsed, you know? So I was just like, did she just go there and then all of a sudden like how does this work? I had no idea. Like I really thought it was cosmetic. No idea.
Okay. Okay. Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's important that people make those deliberations so that they understand that this is about health. It's not about, you know, beauty or that, you know, doing things
Yeah.
that feel comfortable for yourself is one thing, but it's not something I don't think that people, I can't say, to me, it upsets me a little bit when people take it to go under the knee, under the knife, you know, for these.
Yeah. Yeah, like surgery is a huge deal. Like it's scary. Even though like I was self-pay through the like not through insurance, I had to do all of what they required in terms of you know, getting cleared by like a pulmonologist, getting cleared by a cardiologist, by
Yeah.
my primary care physician. I went to so many specialists in the like 2 months leading up to surgery um, because they don't want to risk it. If there was any risk that like the anesthesia would mess me up or I could die on the table, like more than like a usual risk, they would say no.
Right. Well, and you know, and it's like we have to take a step back and I don't blame the person for feeling that way. We have to take a step back, you know, look at society and look at what's fed
Mhm.
to people, you know, to make them feel like they are less than or like that they have to do these physically altering things to fit this ideology of what is considered a standard of beauty. And
Right, which it's so ironic because that standard is always changing,
mhm,
you know, and it is sad that like people get to that point where they feel like I need to do something really drastic in order to change my appearance. There's a difference between saying I need to go get surgery because like I can't keep doing this to my body anymore. Then I need to go get surgery because I don't feel pretty today. Like that's mine. Like there's never going to be a physical solution to a mental problem.
right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And just to get a scope of it, what is your definition of beauty?
Oh wow. Um that's so hard. I I think beauty is for me at least like two sides, right? Like in terms of emotional, like mental connection, that kind of beauty, I feel it's rooted in authenticity. It's rooted in seeing people unapologetically be themselves. That is where there's a lot of beauty for me, in terms of like other people. And then like aesthetics, of course, are a big thing, and like that's subjective.
Mm,
None of that is objective.
yes.
And that like I remember having to explain to like friends that like attraction is subjective because I was like, listen, I'm a big girl, but like I was I was very sexually promiscuous because it led into my addiction, blah blah blah. But like that was a big part of like me realizing I was like, oh, people like different things, you know?
Yeah.
Beauty is so subjective and beauty is based, you know, in the eye of the beholder, but it's very true. And like people often use that term like really negatively and like they kind of patronize people with it. Like, oh, like you're pretty for a fat girl, or you're pretty, like it's nice that your partner loves you. And it's like,
Yeah.
well, what? Like, no, I'm fucking beautiful. And like that's based on me. So I guess I don't really have a set definition except for like maybe just unapologetically just being me, myself, and expressing that on the outside too.
And that is beautiful. It's beautiful to have that mentality. I know where our two fields kind of meet. You know, I've been involved in the fashion world and trying to get more into it. And actually,
Hmm.
one of the leading things that kind of made me personally step away from it for the time that I did and not go at it with a full force is one coming from a less fortunate economic background and
Yeah.
really, really kind of shunning the idea of objective beauty or objectively what is stylish or what's accepted, because I was always under the impression of, if we're trying to meet these standards that the people are creating, you know, with so much money and, you know, all of these designers and stuff and all of that, that's something that the average person could never compete with anyways. And then
Right.
we're talking about a bunch of people who, at the end of the day, here, for better or worse, a lot of them are morally corrupt. So when we talk about or elitist, or, you know, things like that. So when we discuss beauty, it's like, how is the beauty only skin deep or something like that? But something that made me kind of shift that my mentality on it, and allowed me to kind of come back into that field and pursue it with a new fire, is what you're talking about, the subjectivity of what is beautiful, even down to what is attractive or what you wear in that way.
Mm-hmm.
I think it all falls under that similar category of just understanding the subjectivity of it, and, you know, living and doing what it is that fuels you or drives you or what you think is awesome or amazing. So I really
Right.
support that heavily, and I think that people need to hear that message when they think about these kind of situations, because would you say that, like, the bariatric surgeries are something that you would recommend to somebody who has an eating disorder but may not necessarily be overweight just yet?
Oh, I don't know. You know, it's funny. I actually read an article yesterday that was kind of alluding at that. They were talking about uh, lowering the age, because I don't know what the age restrictions are. I don't really know, but they were saying about like offering bariatric surgery to younger people who are already overweight. So it's a little bit of like the opposite of what you're saying, but it got me thinking though, like the idea of preventative measures, using it as something preventative. Um, but in terms of like, if your body's not there, I would say be careful. Um, that's what scares me when I see, you know, people getting the surgery who are very, very small. I have seen some really bad cases happen where, well, what happens is they cut the stomach, right? Your stomach's healing, so you're like a newborn. That you start with water, then they put you on like protein, which is like formula, right? And then you move into soft foods or purees, soft foods, and then keep going and going and going. And if you're already small and deficient because of an eating disorder, right? Like, and you can't eat because your stomach is healing, that's one, it's only going to fuel your eating disorder more than likely. And two, you're going to be so malnourished and be losing weight so rapidly, your body's not going to be able to keep up. And there was a woman who, like, she ended up at like 96 or 86 pounds or something. And she was losing her mind. She was like, I ended up back in the eating disorder ward where I never wanted to be, you know, and like, it's sad that like she had to go that far and end up in that situation, but it brought attention to me that I was like, oh my God, like, yeah, that makes sense. Like, your body cannot handle that. I'm lucky that I have a physical tool, not a solution, but a tool to help me shift my mind
Yeah.
with how much I should be eating, what kind of things I should be eating, my mindfulness, my schedules, things like that. I'm lucky I have this physical tool that shifted my mindset. Um, and I wish that those people had something like that too. But at this route is, I mean, I'm not a doctor, but it looks like it's not very safe for people who are not considered like, you know, I don't know what the levels of obesity are or whatever, but it just doesn't seem safe.
Excellent. Yes. And no, I totally understand that. And that's something that I wanted, that, you know, that kind of brings us to what I wanted to talk about next, because, you know, this is a surgery that's about health and making sure, you know what I'm saying, that you can prolong the longevity of life and things like that, doing what's best for you. But I know,
Yeah.
watching your journey specifically, that it does come with complications. It's not necessarily a thing that is going to make you all around better. So,
Mm-mm.
I mean, I know you specifically were mentioning the hair loss situation, but what are some other side effects that somebody looking into this should be aware of that's going to come?
Yeah. Yeah, hair loss, similar to any surgery or body trauma or like giving birth, right? Like your body reacts for some reason in the hair. It usually reacts like 3 months later. And it just, for me, it was just falling out right at the follicle. And I was my hair never shed before because it was just, short curls, and it was just coming out. So hair loss is definitely one. Malnutrition. If you don't take this seriously and you don't follow, I mean, I have packets and packets and pages from my doctor. If you don't follow those guidelines and adhere to them, you really run the risk of getting sick. You run the risk of dehydration. That's a big one. A lot of people end up hospitalized. You really have to follow these rules. Otherwise, malnutrition, dehydration. What else comes along? Oh, the vitamins, right? If you're not taking your vitamins, we can't get all the nutrients we need as bariatric patients from food anymore.
Okay.
Before having surgery, my blood work was all fine. I luckily wasn't at risk for diet. I mean, I'm sure I was at risk, but I wasn't pre-diabetic, right? It didn't show up in blood work. I didn't have any of those issues. Cholesterol wasn't high, nothing, because I ate whole foods. My vitamin levels were all good because I ate whole, real foods.
Right.
I can eat real foods now, but only, little bits. So that's where, you'll get some complications in terms of malnutrition. Constipation, let's be real. I'll be open about it. That's a very real thing.
Yeah.
You're eating a lot of protein and not a lot of fiber. Luckily, now that my stomach's healed more, I can eat more fiber, so we're good on that front. But that was terrifying. I had never been through that. And dumping syndrome. That's a scary thing when if you eat too fast, or say I eat something, I don't wait, 15 to 30 minutes before drinking, it'll push the food like a funnel out into my intestines and it'll hit them too quickly, and then the intestines just release. So lots of scary things that can happen if you don't, really take this seriously and view it as, like you said, a health change and a real, it's a real surgery it doesn't just fix things, it makes you have to do a lot of work.
Exactly. No, and I'm sure that, that's very useful information that, I couldn't think of all of those things that would come with it, but I knew that there had to be complications to it. And now I know you mentioned that they gave you the information where it was high protein when you're in the healing process. Is there a lifelong step-by-step diet that's basically going to be, kind of guiding you through phases to get?
Yeah, so it's phasing down, like I said, water, and then just protein drinks, and broths and stuff, and then pureed foods. So during that phase, because I don't puree things, that's gross to me. I had tuna, just soft things that were easily digestible and could go down easily. And then into real food, but my focus is protein. And the reason being is because as I'm losing weight quickly, I run the risk of losing muscle mass as well.
Mm-hmm.
And I was working out with a personal trainer all through 2019. So I had a lot, I had worked on building up muscle and shaping my body. Because when I was working with her, I wasn't focused on weight loss at all. I think I lost 10 pounds that whole time, but my body shape was changing. I was learning how to move and exercise and whatnot. And I don't want to lose all that. Right. So I stay focused on the protein. Also, proteins are just building blocks for hormones and everything that'll keep your body functioning properly. So protein is definitely going to be my focus for the rest of my life. Some patients don't choose to go that route, and they can be fine. They can maintain the weight loss. Some don't. Some gain it all back. It depends on really how your body is. And for me, I've been fat my whole life, so I'm not going to risk it. I'm not going to risk getting back to that point of desperation and pain by not sticking to this, you
right.
know? But otherwise, it's pretty normal. I can go out to restaurants and just be hey, I'll order the salmon and green beans or something. I'll bring back a whole box pretty much, but I'll still have been able to eat.
Okay, absolutely. And is there ever a time where I don't know how to phrase this, but wherever this is your stomach ever going to actually return to its original capacity?
No.
Okay.
When it's gone, it is gone. Okay. So people think that your stomach gets permanently stretched, but I guess from what I've read, again, not a doctor, but it doesn't ever really get permanently stretched. It just it's an organ, and like what it's made of is meant to expand because things are getting put into it. Which is like the body is just so smart and so brilliant. And my stomach does the same now, but now it's just 20% of what it was. But
Right.
it can still, like, if I fill it a little too much, it'll expand a little, but it's never gonna like stretch permanently. And I can feel it too. Like there was a day I didn't really eat much because I was so like working and trying to get into my whole like just new job and everything, which
Right.
is not good. Do not recommend it. But the next day when I went to eat, I could not eat as much because my stomach hadn't gotten used, or like wasn't being used properly.
Mm.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Absolutely. Here. And so you said it, so your stomach is now only 20% of its original capacity? Man,
Yeah. Yeah.
so
It's
drastic.
like a tube. It's only a little bit bigger than my esophagus now.
Wow. Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And would you say that, because I know you said that you were always kind of heavy, like growing up. Would you say that you had like an eating addiction?
Yeah, absolutely. I 100% did. When I look back on my behaviors with food, especially as a child, it's the same behaviors I exhibited later on with addictive substances. It was the same things. Like I remember we had like frosting in the pantry that my mom just kept for like if we wanted to make a cake or something, you know? And like I would take it and like sneak into my room because I knew, like, right, like I knew I wasn't supposed to be doing that. And I would like take it to my room and like eat spoons and like hide it under the bed and stuff, or throw it away but hide it under other trash so no one knew. Like there were these having to hide things and guilt and shame that went along with it. And like I knew it was bad for me because like they told me that, right? But instead of like looking at it, because I was 8, I couldn't look at good and bad foods as like, hey, this isn't going to make you feel good, right? Like I just saw like, oh, that's forbidden and went for it.
Right, right, right.
Um, so definitely like that. And then as I got older, I was like, fuck all that. I'm gonna eat what I want. But luckily, like with my parents being immigrants, there wasn't a lot of processed food in the house except for like that random those random things of frosting for some reason. But there really wasn't, it was all whole foods. It was always, you know, rice, beans, and protein. That was all that was in the house. And lots of bread because we're Cuban. But um I ate so much of it though. So like I was eating good foods. My parents always fed us well, but I ate just too much of it all the time. And that bled over into my adulthood where I preferred unprocessed foods. I preferred, you know, cooking my own meals, but I would, you know, make a whole pan of something and eat it all myself.
Mm.
Like I would order like fancy schmancy pizza because it's real ingredients and eat the whole damn thing myself, you know?
I'm guilty. I'm
Yeah,
guilty.
yeah.
I'm about to go do it as soon as we're done with this, in all honesty. But uh, and I was just gonna ask, yeah. So like, was weight is weight something that is like a hereditary issue in your family?
It looks like it. My dad's mom, as an older adult, was definitely like obese and struggled with like diabetes and just a lot of health issues that related to food and like what she had eaten, you know, growing up. And then like my mom, after like my mom was always really thin and like lanky looking, and then after 2 pregnancies, she had gained a lot of weight, and it wasn't like, oh, baby weight, like it was like throughout her whole body. But she lost it. But my sister and I, um, it's so crazy. Our bodies look the same. Like if, and we're 7 years apart, but if you put pictures of us like side by side from each age, our bodies are pretty much like the same sizes at the same ages. We're just like different colors because she somehow got all those Spaniard genes and I got like the Caribbean ones. Um, but it's so wild that like it can be hereditary. I mean, it is, obviously. I mean, there's no way. Like, how could that be, you know?
Right.
And my cousins too. I have some cousins who are on my dad's side, so we have that same grandmother, same bodies. It's wild.
Absolutely, absolutely. And so for somebody who is maybe a younger person or just starting to come into realizing these issues with weight or maybe the eating, one,
Hmm.
what are some preventative measures that they can do before coming to the bariatric surgery level to kind of get themselves geared towards a healthier lifestyle? And then
Yeah.
two, what advice would you give to somebody who has that same mental addiction to the food too, to help them with that side of it?
Yeah. Addiction across the board affected me in every area of my life. Wherever it could manifest, it did. And that was food. That was RuneScape. Like that was, internet forums. At each age, it was, something different. But the ones that really stayed with me, I mean, food was there the whole time, and then drugs as I got older. Those were the two that made me the most unmanageable. And being fat isn't unmanageable. Being fat is not a bad thing, you know. But what happens is when my food addiction manifests in my body continuously gaining weight to the point that it's hurting me and holding me back in certain ways, that is unmanageability for me, just like my drug use. So I was lucky enough that I could see after getting clean, right? I could compare, oh my gosh, like these are the same things. But a lot of people, and it's just like me, didn't have that experience growing up. Like I didn't know what addiction was
Mm.
growing up. I didn't know. Like I was so sheltered. I mean, my idea was like somebody in the gutter with a needle in their arm. Like I didn't know what really went behind it. And funny enough, I ended up being that person. But like, um, that's where the preventative measure comes in, where especially as parents, if you see your kid or if you see this in you, if you see yourself exhibiting these kinds of behaviors where there's the obsession thinking of something and then the compulsion acting on it very quickly and getting that something, there's some problems there. And therapy can really help. um, I would like to think, and I was about to say I can guarantee, but I can't guarantee anything here, but I would like to think that like if these behaviors that I was exhibiting as a kid that were just so blaringly obvious now that I look at it, um, had been, if I had been taken to therapy, maybe some things would have changed. Um, Maybe I could have been more thoughtful in my choices and not even just food, internet and exercise and all of it was hand in hand too. Because it was like, oh, I'm not going to go like in gym, I wouldn't do anything because I was like, I don't want anyone to see my body moving. My body doesn't move like everybody else's body in here. So I'm not exercising and I resented it and but anyway, it piles on therapy.
Mm.
Therapy is always an amazing preventative measure for getting, not letting things get too far. Um, and then the second question, what was the second question?
So the second question was, it was that side. Ah, before before getting
Oh,
to
for prepping. Yeah.
you do, yeah.
Yeah.
The big
Um, I
help.
see a lot of people not prepare themselves for surgery, and you can still have success. Not to say, that you can't,
Right.
um, because the idea behind it is that like it does work. But I would highly suggest to make the experience enjoyable, to avoid less complications. I would highly suggest getting your body moving, seeing that personal trainer, like as much as I hated it, right? Like I loved her. She was really cool. Like we had a good time, but like I abhorred being there. Like I just didn't want to be there. She'd be like, all my other all my other clients love it here. And I'm like, no, like all your other clients are not 200 pounds, or like I'm 200 pounds heavier than all your other clients,
Yeah.
right? Like so getting your body moving at a bigger size makes it a lot easier now that I'm at a smaller size.
I can imagine.
Also, it got me into a routine. So like you're not cleared for working out until like 6 weeks after surgery. Um, and I was like craving it, which was kind of cool. Um, Another thing with prep, I would definitely suggest trying like different like protein powders and stuff beforehand. I didn't do that and I got stuck with some nasty, expensive things. And like for me, I'm like, they're expensive, so I'm gonna finish it. But like now that I found really cool things that like taste actually good and not like gross and like baby formula and stuff,
Yeah.
like life is really enjoyable and fun, you know?
Good.
But definitely just preparation and like doing your research and also in terms of the research, I think this is my last thing for like the prepping. My sister had added me to like some bariatric surgery support groups online on Facebook. And no, before surgery, that was a terrible idea.
Really?
Yeah, you would think, right? But I mean, it also, my mindset was a little bit like kind of out there compared to most people who come onto those groups. Like
Yeah.
I'd see posts that are like, I'm 25 and I'm still fat and ugly and no one will date me. And it's like, no, no one will date you because you do things like this. Like, because you're sitting here wallowing and calling yourself ugly. Like if you call yourself ugly, it's a lot easier for other people to also think that you are ugly, you know? So
Mm.
when I go around calling myself beautiful and like being myself, that attracts people to me and not just sexually, but like also friendships, you know? But seeing those kinds of posts and those really sad mindsets because they're sad to me. That mindset is sad. And I had been in that mindset as a teenager. Luckily I got out of it and did some research, right? But like just seeing people as adults hating their bodies, shaming their bodies, the thing that gets them through life, right? And like being nasty to their bodies and saying these horrible things like made me really sad. And I was like, is this really for me? Because like I felt like I wasn't allowed in that space. And I still feel that way some days. I deleted Instagram a few days ago just to like give myself a break because I've been feeling that way where I'm like, I don't know if I belong in this space, but like, fuck that. Like, I make my own space. But definitely like just be careful in terms of doing your research. I highly suggest the research before surgery be at your surgeon's office with the nutritionist there, with the therapist there, with the nurses there, not with people who are really, really struggling with self-esteem and addiction issues, because that is addiction.
Yeah. And I'm sure that that kind of like those kind of emotions and things like that and that mentality can be contagious, especially when you're battling the same thing that these people are. And
Yeah, it is. It is.
absolutely. But it's definitely a blessing and a gift that you have that level of introspection that you can go ahead and say, no, this isn't what we're destined to be. This isn't how we have to view ourselves. And really, just because society is saying this does not make it an absolute objective truth. I think that's important. And I think that that's very awesome. You know, of course, self-preservation is key, not only physically, but mentally and emotionally. So do what you can to make sure that you're in a clear headspace, but when you do feel the empowerment within you to do so, it's very important that you come out here and say these things and do what you do in that aspect.
Hmm.
And I know you were saying that you're just taking a break so far, but I was gonna bring up, you know, the Bariatric Bitch platform and everything that you're doing over there to kind of raise awareness. Because in all honesty, before seeing your posts on there, I was completely oblivious. You know, like I said, I knew what gastric bypass was, but I had never even heard the term bariatric surgery, you know, before or anything like that. So it's, I mean, even for a person who it may not necessarily apply to, it was a big help in just learning that process and gaining an understanding of the struggles that people go through in these kind of situations. I've always been naturally skinny, fortunately, and you know, it's a gift and a curse because people, you know, people feel the way that they do about it on either way, tell you need to eat more, tell
Hmm.
you, oh, I
Hmm.
like you and stuff. And really, we have limited control over our metabolisms as human beings, you know, so
Yeah.
it's just it's important that they have that information though. So I was going to ask, like, I know that you were working with a few organizations a while ago, so I wanted to ask, what work are you doing in this field on your own platform, or what organizations are you working with, and where can people go to get more information on this?
Yeah. So currently I partnered up with Bariatric Fusion, which is a company that I thought only made vitamins because that's where I get my vitamins from, but found out that they also do like protein powders and supplements. But the cool thing about this company is that the products are always made with bariatric patients in mind. So they're easily digestible. They can go through our stomach. They're not going to make us sick. They're not going to sit in our stomach and not be absorbed. Like, it's cool because it's like, let's just cut out malnutrition. But before, like, bariatric patients were taking like hands full of vitamins a day. And like, they were just like, no, like, let's just compact this into one thing. And like, I'm very grateful for that. But so, like, I get commission off of whatever sells under my code. So yeah, like, I was like, fuck this, I'm gonna monetize off of this, like, make some money off of it, why not? But also bring awareness that like vitamins are important, and like people who haven't had bariatric surgery can also take these, because they're gonna digest just fine for you too.
Perfect.
And they put that like on their website and stuff. But then in terms of like education and information, there was this really cool organization, and I always get the name wrong. It's like weight loss surgery, um, like national, there's an F in there somewhere. It is insane. I always get it wrong. Every time I would go to the website, I would type it in wrong. It was horrible. But I will pull it up and I'll put it in the comments or something so people can see it.
Perfect.
And it is a really cool organization where they raise money. They're a nonprofit, and the money that they raise throughout the year goes towards people getting bariatric surgery who do not have insurance or financial means.
Awesome.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing. And like, and they're legit too, because like I had applied for it, and because I was like, oh, my surgery doesn't, or my insurance doesn't cover it. Let me see. And like, they asked me some crazy questions and went through all the finances, and they were like, no, you can get a loan. Like, it's like for people who can't even get a loan, So I was like, I don't want to take out a loan. But they couldn't help me in that instance because like I do like fortunately have access to these things.
Mm-hmm.
But they're actually helping like low income people who like their credit isn't good, they can't get a loan, but really need this life-saving and changing surgery, and like they're providing that. So I will put their website link in there, just because they're so cool. And like, I was talking with the executive director of their foundation. Oh, it's like, I think Weight Loss Surgery Foundation of America, something like that. But I had spoken to her directly. She was guiding me through the process. Like, that's how like small and like homegrown they are. But they still manage to, I think they give about like 20 surgeries a year or something like that. So yeah.
That's great. That's great. Excellent. Yeah, and we'll make sure to get all this information put out so that people who need it can get the resources that they need, because that's what this is all about. And then, so that pretty much sums up my questions that I've had. But once again, coming at this from the level that I am, is there anything that I missed, or what, in closing with this subject, what do you think, is there something else that somebody should know?
Stigma. That is the biggest one here. And there's so many like deeply entrenched social issues that go into it. But I just want to touch on like some of the surface level ones that we can see, and some that we can just peel back one layer. But there's the huge stigma around bariatric surgery that it's the easy way out. And I felt that way. I legitimately said that to my friend. I was like, what, you took the easy way out? Because I didn't know. And she explained to me what went into her experience. And then my sister got it done, and she was like, I saw her, because she had to go through the insurance approval process, and I saw her committing,
Right.
So it's not the easy way out. Why can't you just diet and exercise? And it's like, don't you think I tried that? Like, I've been fat my whole life. Like, I was like an 8-year-old on Weight Watchers, okay? Like, don't you think I tried? And that's not even the point. Like, that's not, like, fuck what anyone else says. But, like, at the end of the day, though, like, I will defend it, and I will educate so that I don't have to keep hearing that, also there's the other side of it that's like, there's a lot of fat phobia just really embedded into it. And I think the reason why people are so hateful towards bariatric surgery is because it's inherently fat phobic. It's made for fat people. And that's, you want fat people to be smaller. You tell us every day, you show us every day. You tell us that every single day of our lives, we've been seeing it. And yet, when we go do the thing that will help us get there, you're not okay with it. Right. It's because it's for fat people. I want to write about that. I haven't seen it written about too much yet, so I'm excited about that. But there's just a lot that goes into it that's just like, there's just a lot of misconceptions and fat phobia, and that's what really drives that stigma around it. But I don't know, there's so much work that goes into this, and not just physical. Like I said, like I make mindful food choices, I prepare food, I exercise daily, I make sure I get like at least 10,000 steps. Like I wake up now, who am I wake up now at like 6 in the morning and go walking before work, like, and I'm cool with that. Like I'm happy with it. It's not like I'm like crazy about it, but like it's enjoyable and makes my day, like it starts my day off nice. um but also the mental work that goes into this. And you caught me at the perfect time. You messaging me really really helped me, because and like asking me to do this, because lately I've been really really struggling. I'm at a crossroads now where I'm wearing like the smallest size at Torrid, which is a plus size store. And it's scary because fat has been a part of my identity, like an empowering part of my identity,
Right.
for at least a decade now. And I don't know, I'm in a strange space right now, coming to terms with, because I'm still losing. Like that's just what's happening. I'm allowing the process to flow. I'm doing what my surgeon says, and if I'm not happy at a smaller weight, like I can gain weight. That's the cool thing about caloric deficits. So um but I'm at this crossroads of like, do I get to call myself fat anymore? Do I, it's a part of my identity that isn't fixed, like my ethnicity, right? Or my gender or my sexuality. This is a part of my identity that's temporary, that I never thought was temporary. Um, so yeah, I'm glad you caught me there, because like I signed out of my Facebook on my phone because I was like, this place is driving me insane. And then I deleted my Instagram for a little, and I was like, I need to find a fat/body positive therapist, because I need to get back into discussing this with someone who knows it in a professional context. And there's that mental work, right? Like there's that mental piece that like I thought I could like rely on like the years of therapy that I did. And I was able to ride that wave for a while, and now it's hitting me where I'm like, oh, this is new and icky, you know?
Right.
So yeah, good timing on you.
Hey, everything I feel like is in divine timing, because I mean,
Mhm.
I wanted to make sure that I had more representation of different people, because the last two people who I had in my interviews were Caucasian men, and that's fine. But I
Yeah.
wanted that we have, I want to tell a lot of different stories from a lot of different angles. You're one who has spoken out to me for a long time, just seeing your journey and your change. And ever since I've known you, you've always been a very outspoken, very, very well, a well-to-do person who is just very friendly. And in all honesty, I'm definitely just truly inspired by your journey, even down to the head tattoo. So I've actually always wanted to get a head. Yeah, show it off, man. That thing is awesome.
I just went to the barber today.
It's fresh, got Lucy fade going on. But no,
Oh my God.
I definitely,
Lucy's against, don't get me started.
yeah, exactly. No, real. But no, I'm so happy that I did reach out and to hear that it was at a good moment. It's just, I mean, I don't push it on anybody else, but I'm religious. I believe that everything comes in its due time. So I think that that's awesome. And trust me, when it was as big and important for me as it was to you from what you're explaining. So I definitely appreciate that. And no, it's just, thank you for coming on here. Thank you for being brave enough to talk about all of these things. Like, wow, that's so powerful. And I'm sure that you have helped somebody today. Just from,
Yeah, thank you.
not to mention the people who will be seeing this in the future. So thank you.
Right.
Thank you so much. And you're an inspiration to me as well, too. Now,
Mm.
before we get up out of here, I know you were saying that you have a code that they can buy the vitamins through in order to get commission. So let's know,
Yeah.
with these people supporting you and what you got to say, go
Yeah. on bariatricfusion.com, load up your cart and then type in Vicki, VICKI 1515 so that you can get 15% off your whole order. I think it's like if you fill your cart over $100, like you get free shipping, and you can easily spend that amount there. But with the discount, it makes it manageable, and it's all worth it. So yeah, Vicki 15, VICKI, and I'll also put the code that's like a direct like link code to me too. So I'll put that in there as well.
Perfect. Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, feel free to, once we get this all posted and everything, comment all the information that you want people to see so that they have the resources to. Yeah, once again, no, I can't thank you enough for this, because I know a few people who've had these surgeries and things like that, and I've seen the struggles that they've gone through. I've seen the emotions that come behind it. So hearing and seeing your story was very eye-opening to me, and I wanted to make sure that we got that out to people. So definitely thank you. For everybody who's been watching this, once again, we have the one and only Vicki Quintero. And as you can see, you can't make another one of these, man. You just can't. Thank you for everybody who's been tuning in with us. I hope that you have something to bring home, if not for yourself, for somebody. If you see somebody in your life who's struggling with their image, their appearance, their health, their fitness, say something. Let them know it's not the easy way out. Let them know that you are not doing any of this for anybody else. You do it for you. You do it for how you feel. You do it so that you can wake up at 6 a.m. and go on about your business and feel great while you do it. That's why we are here, and we only have one life to live. So let's make sure that we take the utmost care of it, in all honesty. So thank you for that. Thank you for everybody who tuned in. With that, probably said thank you too many times, but we can go ahead and conclude this. All right.
Oh yeah, if anybody's struggling, they can reach out to me. I'm always down to talk and share experience always. Thank you.
Exactly. All right, y'all. Peace out.